Welcome to Hockey with Talks podcast. Today I'll be talking about what teams need to do to advance in the 2021 Stanley Cup Playoffs. In this podcast, I will talk about what each team needs to do to advance in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Carolina Hurricanes vs. Nashville Predators. The Carolina Hurricanes have a commanding 2-0 lead in the series going back to Nashville. If the Nashville Predators want to advance, they will need to fix many things, but most importantly, they will need to tighten up defensively. Nashville simply cannot give up so many glorious scoring opportunities to Carolina. If they continue to do so, this will be a short series. The Preds are wasting Matt Duchene by placing him on the wing on the line with Erik Haula and Brad Richardson. Swap Duchene with Eeli Tolvanen and put him as the second line center. The newly constructed second line should be Matt Duchene centering Mikael Granlund and Luke Kunin. Then the third line should be Erik Haula centering Brad Richardson and Eeli Tolvanen. The Carolina Hurricanes don't need to change anything. If they just continue to play with the same pace and intensity as they did the first two games, they should be able to close out the series. Carolina is just too much for Nashville to handle, so they should easily advance to the next round. Florida Panthers vs. Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning have dominated their best of 7 series against the Florida Panthers thus far. A huge reason for this is because the Lightning are getting better production from all 4 lines, while the Panthers are not. If the Panthers are to win this series, their role players must be more productive offensively, and their dynamic duo of Barkov and Huberdeau must be absolutely amazing. The good news for the Panthers is that Sam Bennett will be back from his 1-game suspension in Game 3. He should be back on the line with Jonathan Huberdeau and Owen Tippett. The Barkov line has been a non-factor 5-on-5. They need to find a way to get that line going. They should move Mason Marchment on the line with Barkov and bump Duclair onto the line with Lomberg and Akari. The series is far from over, but if they lose Game 3, it will be near impossible to come back from. The Tampa Bay Lightning have shown why they are the Stanley Cup champions. They won Game 1 due to special teams and a clutch goal by Braden Point, and then won Game 2 due to stingy defense and outstanding goaltending from Andrei Vasilevsky. Expect Tampa Bay to continue playing like they did in Game 2, because Florida didn't really have an answer for it. Tampa Bay is the better all-around team and have more playoff experience, and that should help them advance to the next round. And now over for my sponsor. Check out my scouting blog at HockeyWiz777scouting.com. Listen to my scouting blog podcast on anchor.fm/HockeyWiz777scouting. Pittsburgh Penguins vs. New York Islanders. The Penguins and Islanders series is tied 1-1, so the series is very much up for grabs. The team that executes better down the stretch and has better production from their role players will win the series. As always, close matchups will come down to goaltending, and right now Tristan Jarry is a bit shaky, which is not good news for the Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins will be adding Evgeny Malkin back to the lineup for Game 3, which is great news for the Penguins. However, if Malkin isn't healthy, he is taking the second line center spot away from Jeff Carter, who had been playing tremendous in his place. Pittsburgh needs to tighten up a bit defensively in front of Tristan Jarry, and Jarry needs to do a better job of controlling his rebounds. The role players of the Penguins have played tremendous in this series. In fact, at times, they have outplayed the Crosby line. The majority of this series, which has been held in check for the most part. The playoffs is where the Islanders really missed their captain Anders Lee, who would normally be playing alongside Matt Barzal and Jordan Eberle on the top line. But instead of Anders Lee, they are playing Leo Komarov, who is no offensive threat at all, and it makes it much more difficult for Matt Barzal to make any offensive plays. The Islanders' defense has not played well at all in this series. At times, they have been flat out bad defensively. The Islanders will definitely need to tighten up defensively in front of their goaltender, like they did last postseason. The Pittsburgh Penguins should have enough firepower to beat the New York Islanders, but as the Islanders have shown under Barry Trotz, they are very capable of upsetting a heavily favored team. Washington Capitals vs. Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins lead the Washington Capitals in their best of 7 series 2-1. However, all 3 games went to overtime, so this series still hangs in the balance and could very well go 7 games. Of all of the first round matchups, this is the closest one and has the most potential of going to a Game 7. The Boston Bruins are getting great production from the Taylor Hall line, which consists of David Krejci and Craig Smith. They also got 2 goals from Jake DeBrusk, who was slumping before the playoffs began. The Perfection line is scoring as well, but it's nice to see other Bruins get on the scoreboard besides Marchand and Bergeron. Tuukka Rask has been okay in net, but he hasn't been his stellar self that many have come to expect. If the Bruins want to win this series, they will need to tighten up defensively in front of Rask and stop taking dumb penalties, which have been costly. The Washington Capitals have been getting scoring from everyone in their lineup, but the most noticeable players were not their star players. Their energy line, which features Carl Hagelin, Nick Dowd, and Garnet Hathaway, has been stellar in this series, coming up with a couple big-time goals in key moments. Ilya Samsonov was terrific in goal in Game 3. Hopefully, he can continue his strong play for the rest of the series. The series will ultimately come down to the Caps' power play versus the Bruins' penalty kill. This series is like a coin toss, so it is impossible to say which team will win. And now a word from our sponsor. Check out my hockey blog at hockeywiztalkshockey.blogspot.com. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at hockeywiz777. Colorado Avalanche vs St. Louis Blues. The Colorado Avalanche have a commanding 2-0 lead in the series against the St. Louis Blues. If the St. Louis Blues want to win the series, they will need to go back to what gave them success in 2019, which is play a hard-hitting and physical game and rough up the star players for Colorado. Colorado is having a field day out there, and St. Louis has no answers for it. They better fix it fast, or the series could be a sweep. Luckily for the Blues, Nazem Kadri could be suspended for his hit on Justin Falk. This would be a huge loss for the Avalanche, as he is their second-line center and is an important penalty killer. The Blues could make a few changes to the lines by moving Braden Shen to center the line of Jaden Schwartz and Vladimir Tarasenko, and moving Zach Sanford up to the first line to play with Ryan O'Reilly and Jordan Kyrou until David Perron gets back. Tyler Bozak should be moved down to the third line to play with Mike Hoffman and Robert Thomas. Ivan Barbashev should center the fourth line with Kyle Clifford and Sammy Blais. In the case that Kadri is suspended, I would move Rantanen off the line with McKinnon and put Donskoy on that line, then have Alex Newhook center Brandon Saad and Mikko Rantanen. Burakovsky gets bumped to the third line to play with Tyson Jost and Valeri Nichushkin. Carl Soderberg would dress to play on the fourth line with Pierre-Edouard Bellemare and JT Compher. Colorado doesn't have to change anything in terms of their play style, as they are just too fast and too skilled for St. Louis. This series is pretty lopsided thus far. If not for Jordan Binnington, the scores would be way worse. If all goes right, Colorado will be punching their ticket to the next round. Vegas Golden Knights versus Minnesota Wild. The Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild are tied 1-1 going back to Minnesota for Game 3. It's not surprising that this series is so tight because the Wild have played the Golden Knights well all season long. This series has the best goaltending of any series in the past couple of years, and I don't expect that to change. So the victor of this series will be the team that can capitalize on the few scoring chances they get. One issue I see with Vegas moving forward is the lack of depth scoring. Without Max Pacioretty, they are forced to play Alex Tuch in a top 6 role, which severely hampers their depth scoring. In order for Vegas to win this series, the defense will need to step up offensively, and they will need unsung heroes to be born. Marc-Andre Fleury has been playing like one of the best goalies in the league at age 36, and is proving why he is an all-time great in the postseason. The Wild are making no changes in the lineup yet, but I think they should consider inserting Zach Parise in place of Marcus Johansson. Parise has 77 points in 101 playoff games, and is a playoff performer. It would be a mistake not to give him a chance to play before the series is over. The reason why Parise should play over Johansson is because he is more physical, he goes to the dirty areas, and he parks himself in front of the net, and that is how you score in the playoffs. Minnesota outplayed Vegas in parts of this series and played near perfect defense the first 2 games, blocking 49 shots the first 2 contests. Cam Talbot played well in the series thus far and had a 40-save shutout in Game 1. He needs to continue his strong play in order for the Wild to win this series. I still think that Vegas has the edge in the series because of their star power, but Minnesota seems capable of pulling an upset. Check out hockeywiztalkshockey.blogspot.com for my thoughts on what the North Division teams need to do to advance in their matchups. We will just have to watch to see who advances to the next round.